Hi and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Retro Refix. And on this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Pi1541 and what the advantages that the Pi1541 has over Gideon's Ultimate cartridge. That's right, but we'll get into it in the video. This was sent through by Lee for me to check out from Captain Commodore. He's part of the YouTube Retro Repairers group. You'll find all the other guys' links in the description. You'll find the instructions of the GitHub page of how to build one of these and all the files that you need as well for one of these. But yeah, it's quite a cracking little bit of tool. A good tool to have in the arsenal of the Commodore range, to be fair. So thank you very much to my supporters. Thank you very much to the subscribers. Thank you for my Patreon members. You all do cracking stuff. I really do appreciate everything you guys do for me. So without further ado, let's have a take a look at this 1541 Pi. Let's get to it. So this is the GitHub page for the Pi1541. It's the Pi1541 is a real-time cycle exact Commodore 1541 disk drive emulator that can run on the Raspberry Pi 3, 3B, 3B Plus and 3A Plus. I do believe it supports the 4 as well now. So it provides you with an SD card solution for D64, D81s, G64, NIB and NBZ Commodore disk images on the real 8-bit computers such as the Commodore 64, 128, VIC-20 and the Commodore 16 and the Plus 4. So if you want to build one of these, if you want to buy one, it's really easy. If you want to build one, you can download all the software and firmware's here. Just a note, to get the LCDs working, you do have to go into the options text file and enable that in there, and some few other bits and pieces in there. But that's the GitHub page. It's got everything in there that you need to know, all the wirings, etc., all the pinouts, all the wiring diagrams, everything. It's just an abundance of information if you're wanting to build one of these yourself, or even just to get one of these yourself. Tells you what to do with the ROMs, where to put them. It tells you your sizes, warnings, what you shouldn't be doing. There is one thing on this that I must stress on, and I'll show you what it does later on. You must have a power supply that can cope with it. 5 volt, 2.5 amps, I do believe. It does tell us somewhere. If I can see if I can find it somewhere. There you go. Please ensure that you use an adequate power supply. The Raspberry Pi recommend 2.5 amps minimum. So far 100% of problems encountered with this setup using it were down to the incorrect power supplies being used and all kinds of exotic stuff being put through the power supplies. So let's get back to this SideKick 64. So this is the SideKick 64 that Lee sent me, Captain Commodore. If you've not seen his channel, pop over there, you'll find his link in the description. He sent this over to me quite a while ago, to be fair, and I just haven't got round to taking a look at it until now. So as you can see, it's quite a bulky build. So I'll just pop that top off and let you have a look at the thing itself. Let's pull that out of there, that's just for the LCD screen. And then we've got the main board. I'll pop a picture up so it's a little bit more clearer on these instructions, so if you want to have a look at that you can. It does tells you everything that you need to know, to be fair, in there, but I think this is already set up anyway by Lee, thankfully. So if you're going to build one, you get your boards, you get that one, this one and the top one to build in. This one basically just mounts your LCD screen, and that's it. So what we do is we go ahead and we mount the Raspberry Pi into the unit. As you can see, it's got a cutout there for the USB ports. So just fold it over there and just to make sure it's going into the right place, and then just firmly push down. So that's mounted in there. I bought one of these off eBay. They are very, very cheap. I was using a 32 gig originally, but I thought it was a little bit excessive, is 32 gig. So for this little 8 gig stick, they weren't dear, I think they were only about £5 each. I got 2 off eBay. So I've transferred all the files onto there that we need. Lee kindly supplied me with all the files from off his unit itself to save me a load of hassle. It's not too much hassle, but you know, just finding these little configs things inside there and twiddling around and little fine-tuning things he'd already done. So thank you for that, Lee, appreciate you doing that. So we've got his little 8 gig in there with all his files on. And then all you do is slot that back in there, just make sure them pins are lined up there for the LCD screen. In there. And we'll put the 4 screws back in. It does look like the Raspberry Pi comes with some little mounts if you wanted to put it in there permanently. I won't be putting this in here permanently, that's why I've not fitted them. I'll show you that in a second once I get these screws in. Be very careful with these because they are only little plastic screws, so don't go mad with them, just screw them straight in. So if you take a look inside there, you can see a hole, and you can see a hole, and there's also one in the Raspberry Pi at the top there and there. So I'm presuming that there should be some standoff like these ones here on the side that you can put in there. It's probably in the packaging that Lee sent me. I just haven't looked at them, and I wasn't going to permanently install this board in there anyway. But it is only just them 2 over that side that hold it up. Now you can power it 2 ways. You can either get a barrel jack and put it straight in there with your 5 amps, with your 5 volts, 2 amps, or you can power it directly off the Raspberry Pi itself by that little plug socket inside there. You can just see it. So you can power it directly there without having to use the barrel jack if you don't want. It is a little bit fiddly and a little bit awkward in there, so I would suggest getting yourself a 5 volt DC power supply with 2.5 amps and powering it from this side here. It'll make it a lot better than having a wire out of the front to have the wires out of the side and back, if you like, rather than one sticking out here, one out of the back of there, etc. So yeah, so let's plug this thing in and we'll take a look at it. I was actually looking at it, and I was talking to them in the YouTube Retro Repairers group about these, and we chatted a little bit about it on the live stream as well, which we do on the last Sunday of every month, about the cost of these. And what I said in the chat there is these Pi Hats units are about £60 to buy. The Pi itself is probably about £50 to buy. So already you're up at about £110, and then your SD card to go into it. So I mean, I said they were only £5, but if you wanted a bigger one, you know, let's call it a tenner. So you were looking at £120 to get this, and then you need the cable off the back that goes into the 64, and you need a power supply. So if you've not got one of them, you'd have to purchase that as well, and you'd have to purchase that lead. So you're probably looking at another £15 for that, and another £10 for your lead. So you're up at £25. So already we're up at £145. And what I'd said is that if you were up at £145, why buy this? Why not buy Gideon's Ultimate cartridge? Well, I sort of going to pedal back a little bit on that, because, okay, Gideon's Ultimate cartridge is absolutely fantastic. Yes, you can use Gideon's Ultimate cartridge on the VIC-20. You can use it on the Commodore 16. You can use it on the 128. I do believe that you can plug the cartridge in on the 128 now with the new firmware that's just been released for the Ultimate. But for the VIC-20 and the 16, and before that 128 firmware came out, you couldn't use it on the 128 because you put a cartridge in and it dropped you straight into 64 mode. And obviously you don't want it for a 64, you wanted it working in the 128, but it wouldn't work. So the only way that you could do that was to power the Ultimate manually without plugging it into a cartridge. So you'd give it a manual power supply to it, and then you could plug it into the serial port of any Commodore that would take it. And then to control that Ultimate cartridge, you would then have to plug it into your Wi-Fi, make sure your Wi-Fi is set up, and fire Telnet up on your PC, and you would have to control the Ultimate cartridge with the PC if you wanted to use it on a VIC-20 or a 16 or a 128 at the time. But thinking about it now, this is quite a handy little tool to have, to be fair, because it's freestanding. We don't need to use a PC. I can use it on any Commodore that it'll actually take. It's already said all the disk formats that it would handle. So yeah, I think it is a good little addition to the emulation drive collection, and it will have its uses. So I think I'm wrong in saying that you'll be better off buying an Ultimate cartridge if that's all you were wanting this for. If you were purely wanting it for a Commodore 64, yes, Ultimate cartridge all the way. If you're wanting something that you can use across the board with ease without having to use your PC, etc., then one of these SideKick 64s or SideKicks, there's so many names for them, there's so many different shapes and sizes for them, I get them all confused, but one of these would do the trick across the Commodore brand. So enough of me rambling on now. Let's take a look at it, and I'm going to show you what happens if you power it incorrectly and what happens when you power it correctly. Right, so I've just set up the 64, we've plugged in the serial connection into there. This is what I mean by powering it with the USB. It is awfully difficult to be able to try and get it inside there and into your Raspberry Pi. But I'm going to do that, and then you'll see the power light come on. So you can see it's a bit difficult, but it would be better powering it off the jack. And as you can see there, the screen came up. I'll press a button, see if it comes on again. Nope, it didn't. So it will come on as soon as I switch on the C64. So we'll do that now. And there you go, it's fired up. So just dropping it out a little bit easier. So all I'll do is go down to pick a game. Let's pick a game. Up, down, down. A bit difficult behind this camera. C64 tools. Oops, I jumped up and down. And let's pick Arcanoid, the Revenge of Dope. So it does have a file browser, and I will show you that as well. So what I'm going to do now is, now I've picked that game, I'm going to select it, and you'll see that it goes into it. Yep. A little bit difficult to see on camera, and I hope you can see this. But at the top right hand corner it says 19.0. That's the file track, and that's what normally goes down when you're using these. But what you find is when you don't have it powered correctly, like I don't now at the moment, I have it plugged in at his USB port off my PC, which doesn't give it enough ampage. So we're going to take a look at that now. Let me put the television on. So there you go, we're up at the screen, and we've got it powered up via USB. So what I'm going to do is type load, and the usual, and I've asked for a disk directory. So it's just .8, we don't do the .1 for a disk directory. So that's searched it, and it's done nothing. What we've got is, I'll show you, is the power light and the drive activity light on. It's difficult for me to show you there. Right, pulling that on, there you go. And if you can see on the LCD screen, which you probably can't, yep, it's gone to track 18, but it's locked up and it's doing nothing at all. Okay, so if I just reset this now, so by doing that it throws the track off, so we've deselected the game now on the emulator. So let's have a look and see what it does if I just do that now. So you see, when it's looking at the file browser stuff, it all appears, and it's all there, look. And we can even go to FB64, where are we? There we are. So if we load FB64, which is the file browser 64, so that's loading in now, and that's loaded. So this file browser's loaded. So you would think, looking at it, you would think that it's working this, but the games are there, look. So let's go back and pick that Arcanoid 2, the Revenge of Do, and let's see what happens, look. So bear in mind that the power light's still on and the drive activity light is still lit up on this emulator at the moment. So if I hit that and it goes loading, and you hear it buzz once, I don't know whether you heard that or not, but we're there again. I'll show you again. It's gone to track 18 at the top left corner. It's a bit wavy, and it's not doing anything, and we've still got the power light and the drive activity light lit up, but this is doing nothing. What you normally hear is it going beep, beep, beep when it's changing tracks. So that's what happens when you don't use a correct power supply. So what I'm going to do now is, I haven't got a power supply, but what I've got is my Samsung charger. This outputs 2.5 amps. So I'm going to unplug that USB lead. So I've plugged in the charger. I'm going to reset everything again. So I'm going to go back down. Can't lift this up now because the wire won't reach. So I'm going to go back down to the game that we wanted, which was Arcanoid, the Revenge of Do. So I'm going to load that into the emulator now. Now when I go load $, that should give us the Arcanoid disk directory. We heard the beep. Oh, we're not running away. List it instead. So you can see, look, we've got Arcanoid, haven't we? So if I just do the normal load star, that should load as Arcanoid. So if we try that, and I'm just going to move it down. Let me see if I can repower this, just so you can see on the screen. Right. So we have, as you can see it, Arcanoid 2 on there. Yep. So I'm going to load that now. Load star, comma 8, comma 1. I'll show you this thing again, and you watch that top left where it says 19, and you should hear this thing buzzing as well. Hear it? There you go, another buzz. Now you see how slow that is between the beeps? Yep. Really long time between the beeps. Right, so I'm just going to stop it there. I'm going to put JiffyDos on. As you can see now, we've got JiffyDos across the top. I'm going to select that file again. Arcanoid. We'll do as, just to make sure that it's there. I did that last time, didn't I? And we've got his Arcanoid back. So now I've got JiffyDos installed. I can just press shift and run stop and it should load. But I'll bring this back up here, look, again for you, and we'll see the difference. I'm hoping you can see that. So we've got Arcanoid on 8, look. So I'm shift and run stop. Can you hear the speed difference? So that's what happens when you put the correct power supply in and use JiffyDos. It's really, really quick. Here you go, the game's decrunching. Press space to skip it by. It might start loading again, but we don't know. Revenge of the Dough. So you can see that's loaded up nice and easy. So yeah, I think these things are pretty good really. Thank you for sending that in for us, Lee. It's going to be a great addition for using it across multiple computers rather than just having one for the 64. Yeah, okay, you could go out and buy an SD to IEC, one of these little things, which does the trick just as good, but I don't think that supports other file formats than what this does. So what did you think to that? I'd love to hear your comments. Please drop me a comment down in the bottom if you've got anything to say about what I said about these. But yeah, so the Pi is cracking. It's a little bit slower compared to Gideon's cartridge. I mean, the DMA feature on Gideon's cartridge, direct memory access, is second to none. Is into the boot, if you like. You can do the same things as I described in the video, but you need Telnet to be able to operate this to use it on multiple systems, because it gets the power normally from the cartridge. You can power it from the side manual at the side there, which does give manual power to this, so it doesn't need to be plugged into a 64. So it can be used, it's just that you need a PC as well to be able to control the cartridge, where this thing is just really easy. Just plug it in, fire it up, pick your game, off you go. So that does have some advantages over that, and I was quite surprised, to be fair. This is still my baby. The Gideon's Ultimate cartridge and his U64 full-blown motherboard is second to none. I would praise that to anybody. If anybody were asking me what to get, I would say Gideon's all the way down the line. If that's what you just want to use it for, is on your 64, then yes. If you want to use it on multiple systems, this is better. It's far better. It's far easier to use. You can take it really easy to your systems, move it around really simply, don't have the use of a PC, etc. So that is a cracking piece of kit. Thank you for sending that, Lee. And that's it for this week's episode. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.